Yeah, my first thing when I was actually an intern was the pistol brace rule. So it's a big change of being like, oh, we have a chance to undo everything versus just like stopping the bleed,
We
essentially.
can
Yeah.
go back in time. We can change things.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, getting back onto the Short Act and the HPA, it's currently in the Senate. Where the Senate is doing their process, meaning the committees are meeting. They're going to have the conversations. They're going to write the bills and get everything together. I've actually been on the Senate for the last 3-4 months, talking with guys over there. Uh, if you are from Idaho, Senator Crapo is the main bill sponsor of the Hearing Protection Act.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and BR. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and BR is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn Art page. Enjoy the show.
Alrighty, gang. Welcome back to the Art and War podcast. I am BR, joined by my co-host Nathan,
Hello.
and we're doing a lot of return guests, but they're all people I love very much. So joining the show for the third time is Mr. Ben Sanderson of Gun Owners of America, or GOA. How's it going,
I
man?
feel like this one is very, very topical. Sorry, I cut you off. How's it going, Ben?
Oh, it's good. It's great to be back, guys. First, I saw someone say this in the Discord, and I have to answer it because I am in there. I have addressed my RAD score. I'm ashamed of it. I know I'm part of Brain Hurdy Gang. I didn't pass the mark.
Gang,
I'm a,
gang.
I'm a Bijan, not an Asian now. So I'm
You passed the mark. I think the passing mark is 65, and you got 89.
Yeah. So like you might be autistic.
Yeah.
it's a B plus, B
Yeah.
still
No,
Asian.
definitely very B plus territory. So I am disappointed in you, I guess.
You're A rank. You're not S or triple S, but
not
not
an
quite
S
the
tier
very
autist.
full. Yeah.
Very sad.
But I'm still proud of you. You tried very hard. You ate your microplastics, and now you're here with the
Well,
rest.
I mean, hey Ben, we knew you couldn't have been that high because your job is literally fucking talking to people. So
Yeah.
you couldn't be like 150 plus. You would be
Yeah.
non-verbal.
Dude, I felt my rad score this morning, where it's like every time I saw someone I remotely knew while walking this dog this morning, which was 3 times for some fucking reason, I would just turn around and walk away before they saw me. I'm like, oh yes, keep forgetting this is a thing. Like like I'm planning routes to actively not have social interaction. Like, oh okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and call that one based, which might say more about me than it does anything else. But
Every day
so
you're training.
yeah, right. Every day is SEER training. Um, so Ben has come back on the show because we have a lot going on in the world of gun rights right now. So a significant portion of our listenership probably are like gun laws, LMAO. But for those of you who still try and live within the laws of the continental United States, a lot of shit's been going on in terms of suppressors. We've been flirting with SBR laws. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, but Ben can speak to that a lot better than I. So, what is going on in Washington, D.C., Ben?
So, I mean, it's been really awesome in this administration, but the biggest thing is we've been working on something, and unfortunately, I've had to keep it secret from you guys for the last 6 to 8 months. Is we're working on taking a huge chunk of the NFA out, which would be
Hell yeah.
suppressors with the Hearing Protection Act and short-barreled firearms and AOWs with the Short Act. I think everyone's seen it by now. Hopefully, we've been really hitting, Instagram, Twitter, all of those, and just making a bunch of noise. And so have you guys. Everyone talking about it has made a huge impact on the congressmen, on the senators, to let them know that this is a priority for Americans and for gun owners that want to remove the NFA. There's a little bit of a hiccup, so we unfortunately had to release it a little soon. We would have really liked to have this completely hidden and under the radar from everybody from the anti-gun side, just so we didn't have to deal with any of the arguments. But unfortunately, there was a congressman who decided, actually, guys, you guys don't know what you're doing for these last 8 months. I'm going to just reduce the tax to $0 and only do it for transfer taxes, not even the making tax.
Yeah.
Which was a horrible thing. And obviously we had to get everyone involved, and we're super thankful because as of now, as the House has passed the bill, it includes the Hearing Protection Act, meaning that suppressors are stripped out of the NFA once the whole thing passes and gets signed by the president. Um,
Hell yes.
Yeah, it's super great. That means so that's everything. That means the transfer tax. That means the making tax. That means no more registration. That means no more paperwork. All of that stuff to fill out.
Yeah.
And how we got there is we kind of stuck it into a really boring budget bill. Uh,
Based.
exactly. So the way everything is set up right now is like, yes, Republicans control the House and the Senate and the presidency, but unfortunately, they don't have essentially a veto-proof majority in the Senate, meaning that if these bills came up on their own on the floor, they would likely lose because they don't meet the 60 vote threshold in the Senate. Uh, but the best part about this budget bill, which is the big beautiful bill, it's HR1. If you've seen on Twitter lately with everything Elon's been saying,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
bill we're
a.
in.
As of the time of recording this, that is a new update as of today.
Oh yeah,
And
and it's definitely giving us some pause and some questions about what's going on behind the scenes. But we're gonna keep pushing forward with our priorities and hopefully get a historic win for gun owners.
When you text me about this, Ben, um, I was like, oh damn, this would be the win of our generation for gun rights, and it might be the first of many, which is pretty badass.
yeah,
Like
just
it's
like
been so
ram that shit through as fast as possible before the pendulum swings, motherfucker,
yeah,
kind of thing.
seriously. But sorry, Nathan, what were you gonna say?
Um, Gosh, oh geez, I'm
What a rude,
so.
what a
Well,
rude
that was like
motherfucker I
8
am.
thoughts ago. That was 8 thoughts ago. 9 thoughts now. Now it's about like what? Oh gosh, 10 thoughts ago.
How am I gonna
Um,
bludgeon BR next time I see him?
yeah. Oh, yes. My thought is how like the bill itself is kind of irrelevant. It seems like a fucking clusterfuck, as all of the budget bills are forever and ever and ever. But that being said, if it's going to go through anyway, it's going to go through. We may as well get ours. That's kind of how I view it. Like, if we have to play dirty, underhanded tactics, and this thing's going to go through in whatever big smorgasbord of whatever the fuck I don't really pay as much attention as I
Three
should.
trillion more dollars to Israel. Yep, that
Three
was gonna happen
trillion more
anyway.
dollars. Let's make it a golden dome over Israel now. Um, like we may as well get something good out of it if this is happening. Sorry, continue.
No, I mean, look, the reality is we didn't start this fight with
Yeah,
putting all of this pork and all of these trying to get in gun control into budget bills. It actually started with the Democrats and the anti-gun side years ago, and we've been fighting a lot. And it's the same reason that we're putting it in is it makes it hard for congressmen to vote down the bill solely for gun issues,
Yep.
yes,
because uh, a big one is the military's budget bill, which is called the National Defense Authorization Act.
yeah,
2-3 years ago, they tried to put in a bunch of things like red flag law, safe storage, all of that for vets. And we had a lot of Republicans who said, "Well, yeah, I'm pro-gun, but I'm not going to vote down the budget for the military because we got to fund the military." And it's a sneaky, underhanded way to throw in all this gun control for veterans in that budget bill.
yeah,
But that's exactly why we're doing it. Is like, hey, we need to get these pro-gun wins. It won't pass in the Senate on a standalone, but this is
yeah,
completely relevant. We're completely allowed to do this. So why not? Like, there's no honor in politics
yeah,
when it
100%.
comes to gun rights. So we're gonna play by the same rules everyone else is. There's no need to
yeah,
be uh, holier than thou when it comes to the
yeah.
anti-gun side.
I noticed that it's a very weird thing with this big, weird push to keep firearms out of veterans' hands. My one of my next door neighbors actually, I went with him to go buy his first Glock because his girlfriend had a weird run in with a weird person, and we got there and his 4473 got delayed, and he is a clean record, it's everything, and the guy behind the counter is kind of quizzing him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, you were military, this is why. I'm looking on the outside. I don't know how true this is. I'm sure that there's going to be a load of people who are in the military who just buy guns hand over fist, but supposedly this has been something that's been happening a lot. Like, if you were in the military, especially certain branches, you get delayed on your background check, and there is extra scrutiny. I don't know how true this is. I might just be pulling this out of my ass. I am trusting a gun store clerk here who are historically the least trustworthy people ever. But supposedly that's been a trend.
Well, not to deviate too much from the topic, but yeah, that has been an issue. Over the last 3 years during the Biden administration, there was actually a push, it was to combat quote unquote domestic terrorism, and part of that was these militia violent extremists, which basically meant gun owners and
Yeah,
people who believed in the Constitution and the Second Amendment, and along the how do you say requirements or the warning signs for being a militia violent extremist was being part of the military, is having been a
wild.
veteran. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it wasn't very specific on like, oh well, they were dishonorably discharged or anything like that, or they had shown
yeah.
disillusion with anything.
Oh, this guy was turbo normie as well. Like, I don't want to say turbo normie as in like derogatory. He's just, you know,
A
not very
regular dude.
a regular dude. Likes motorcycles. Hasn't owned a gun until now. Didn't really have a lot of interest in it. Relatively apolitical. Like, he watches sports, drinks beer on Fridays, has barbecues outside. Like,
I just want to
not
grill, damn it.
yeah, he's a grill boss. Like,
Yeah,
super nice feller. But yeah,
no,
it maybe too many of the watch lists coalesced. Maybe he said something mean on Twitter once. I don't know, but
Happens to the
he
best
was
of
just
us.
yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
continue.
100%. That's been a thing, and also there was I mean, I think we talked about this last podcast where we were able to undo the veteran fiduciary rule, which essentially
Yeah.
was, oh, if you're a veteran that has a financial advisor, you're getting put onto a list that prevents you from buying guns because you being not able to balance your checkbook means you can't be mentally capable of owning a firearm,
Yeah.
which is insane thing. And they're still pushing it. Like we have that bill is so that's currently the law under through a different budget bill, or but they're pushing for the full inclusion in the House, and the other side is immediately saying, oh well, veteran suicide, like these are dangerous people, and like what are we going to do? And just pearl clutching. But in reality, it's most of these people who are either have to get a financial advisor in order to get 100% of their disability checks, or
Yeah,
it's someone that's just not very good with managing their benefits, but that doesn't have any
yeah.
connection
Like
to the gun.
you think about people in the military too, and a lot of them are like they're not particularly. And I say this as someone who 100% was this financially aware. Like you join at 18,
Oh
you are
yeah.
a you buy a car at 23% APR. Like, oh yeah, I want a Mustang. Like you do stuff and money is not really an object. You go drinking off base and you spend $300 on a lap dance. This was not me. This was in like rural New Brunswick. So any lap dances are from people who are missing a lot of teeth. Um,
Hey,
but
those places are still gonna be full if there's a base nearby.
yeah, but yeah, all of these things like put together, there's a very reasonable chance that someone's going to have money problems because they're young and stupid, and suddenly they're given a big boy job and they're surrounded by just like oorah, like oh, let's do it, let's go, like let's get muscle cars and bang hookers and whatever, like young people shit. Like
Young people shit.
young people shit, like banging hookers and buying Mustangs at 23% APR. Um,
I've done this
Yeah, no,
whole
I'm
life really wrong.
exaggerating severely, but it is like not unreasonable, all jokes aside, for like a young person to like I did it when I was younger and I'm ashamed of it, but I learned and now I'm an adult. Like, yeah, I have basically no debt. Um but as a kid, yeah, no, I blew money like it was nothing because I had a stable paycheck and I was just surrounded by testosterone all the time and I was stupid as fuck. That being able to like buy a gun because they're like, "Oh, you're suicidal." It's like, "No, but I got a neat car, I guess."
Not suicidal, but I am retarded.
Yeah, not suicidal, but I ate out way too much KFC.
I didn't know where that sentence was
That was
going,
my
but
vice. I did not buy a car. I did not go to the strip club. I just ate out a lot, and it was just junk. But you'd be surprised how fast that. And yeah, no, like when you think you've got free money coming in from the fucking government, you're stupid. Especially when there's no one telling you like smarten the fuck up. Like life hits you hard, but the idea of like, oh shit, like suddenly you need a financial advisor. And in my case, they like my bank anyway tried to shove one down my throat. It wasn't from the VA or anything.
they're like, we need to help this
Now
kid.
I'm not.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, it's like take this man's guns away from him. He's going to kill himself.
No, take this man's bank account away from him.
Yeah, it's like no, I just had way too many graphic novels and nothing in savings.
Investments. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
No, so where were we with the veteran
Yeah,
stuff?
sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
no,
talk
no.
about veteran things
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's super important, and I don't want everyone to think we've dropped everything. For the last 6 to 8 months, it has been our primary focus. We have been working really late. We've been talking to everyone, and this is, but we're also doing everything else. We're talking with the administration. We're working uh, to get to reduce some of the issues that happened last time, to smooth out bureaucratic issues. Um, Kind of crazy to say, but the ATF, we they've really come around, and our lawyers have talked to their lawyers, and it's really been nice. And it's almost weird to not have a, a conflict, an immediately hostile relationship with the people that in the administration. It's kind of weird to be on the winning side. um,
Yeah, it is
yeah,
weird. Normally, it's a real uphill battle. I'm sure it will be again, because as all things, culture is a pendulum. Um, but I imagine it's a lot of culture shock for you, especially, what the last 4 years have looked like.
What's up everyone, BR here with a quick message from our new sponsor, Cloud Defensive. We've been huge fans of Cloud Defensive lights for quite some time. If you've been with us from the start, you've probably heard us mention Chad Defensive a number of times. Personally, I own the full-size Rain models, 1.0, 2.0, and their all-new 3.0. Every rifle needs a sling, an optic, and a light, and Cloud Defensive is consistently my choice for rifle lights. Cloud Defensive lights' durability, brightness, and top-notch design features make them a no-brainer in my rifle setups every single time. Whether you need a rifle light like the Rain, an EDC option like the MCH or Chicro Admin, or are looking forward to the EPL for handguns coming this year in 2025, Cloud Defensive has you covered. We're excited to partner with them, and as a listener, you can get 10% off site-wide using the code ARTANDWAR10. That's ARTANDWAR10. Every purchase with our code directly supports the show. Check them out via the link in the show notes or through our Seaburn Art link tree in our bio. Thanks for listening, now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, my first thing when I was actually an intern was the pistol brace rule. So it's a big change of being like, oh, we have a chance to undo everything versus just like stopping the bleed,
We
essentially.
can go back in time. We can change things.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, getting back onto the Short Act and the HPA, it's currently in the Senate. The Senate is doing their process, meaning the committees are meeting. They're going to have the conversations. They're going to write the bills and get everything together. I've actually been on the Senate for the last 3-4 months talking with guys over there. Uh, if you are from Idaho, Senator Crapo is the main bill sponsor of the Hearing Protection Act, and
Based.
he's also he's basically the head honcho in the Senate right now for this bill, because
Yeah.
he's part of the committee, or he's the chairman of the committee, excuse me, that is writing essentially the largest portion, and the portion with Hearing Protection Act in. And I think someone asked this, but they wanted to know how confident I was in HPA. In short, HPA, I'm very confident in it because of this, because it's Senator Crapo's bill, and he's the chairman, so he's not going to remove his own bill. Yeah, we've talked to they've been, it's been really great. We've talked to the Senate staff and had a lot of these conversations, stemming back from the very beginning, doing our research. We've been doing research from 1934 to figuring out like what they actually said about the bill when they were discussing it and debating it, to figure out like what we can do. Um, and I guess that leads me into the next point. And, stop me if anything, if you have a follow up question. But this budget bill is called budget reconciliation. The reason that we chose to focus on the NFA is because a quirk of this bill is that it can only be passed with items that are related to the budget. So, meaning taxes, increases, decreases, tax credits,
Hmm.
etc. If people are asking why we didn't include constitutional carry or concealed carry reciprocity, or a red flag ban, it's because those are primarily policy. There's not an effect on taxes, and you can't put that into this bill. Even if we charged like a $1 tax stamp, just explaining, for the right to carry nationwide, that also wouldn't pass certain rules. Uh, And if you're on Twitter and on political Twitter, you've heard of it. It's called the Bird Rule,
Yeah,
and that's
BYRD.
just yeah, BYRD exactly. And a lot of people are talking about it. I can tell you that's one of the things we've been researching for the last 8 months. It's why we chose this. There are specific rules that are written out in uh, federal law that say what can and can't be added to this budget bill, and there are certain tests it has to pass in order to pass Bird Rule. We did a video on this that I explained it more in depth. I don't want to take up too much time because it was like a 10-15 minute video, so it was a lot of talking. Uh, but essentially, we can't say, oh, well, if we do a $1 tax for everyone in America, they have the right to carry nationwide, because then that's not the primary focus of the bill. The primary focus there would be to make sure everyone can carry nationwide,
Yeah.
and the tax is ancillary and it's a secondary thing. The great thing about the NFA and the is that it is primarily a tax. Uh, this was actually decided in a Supreme Court case in 1937. So 3 years after the NFA was introduced and passed, the Supreme Court said, hey, this isn't actually a Second Amendment issue because this isn't related to the Second Amendment. It's related to taxes and Congress's authority and power to tax the American citizen. You're not getting punished because you have this 15-inch barrel. You're getting punished because you didn't pay the tax to have this 15-inch barrel. And
That's
that's
clever. Very clever.
that's been yeah it's one of the reasons it's been super hard to challenge the NFA in courts, is because all the federal courts have upheld that, hey, yeah, this isn't about your right to keep and bear arms. You can still have it. You just have to pay the government a special tax.
Yeah.
And you're not getting punished for possessing it. You're getting punished for possessing it without a tax stamp. And that's exactly what's going to help us kill this bill. Is
Yeah.
the Supreme Court has already said it. Multiple federal courts have already said it. This is part of the Congress's ability to tax the American citizens, and therefore, it's primarily a tax. On top of that, that's not only just the $200 tax stamp, because obviously that's a tax, but also all of the forms that you fill out have been upheld as constitutional because they're tax forms. They're filling them
Mm.
out. You got to fill out send in photo ID, fingerprints, and that's all just to help facilitate the ability to pay that tax, which is insane, but it's great because now it's helping us get rid of this. We agonized for for the first 2 months when we heard about this bill coming up. We're like, okay, what can we do? And a big shout out to all of the great people working at GOA. It's our lawyers, it's our federal lobbying team, it's the decades of experience that our leadership has. We all pinpointed the NFA and we're like, yes, we're very confident in this. We just need to work a little bit and see what the best language we can put forth is to get this passed. And that's where we're sitting right now. A lot of people have been saying, especially people on the other side, saying, "Oh, it's not able to pass. It's primarily policy," and we have pages and hundreds of documents just saying, "No, that's not true." We have all these court cases. We have all of this congressional testimony. Uh,
Yeah.
one of my coworkers actually went to the Library of Congress and dug up all of the original testimony and documents on it, and they all mentioned, "Yeah, this is just a tax, guys. This isn't about the guns and your right to own them. This is all about taxes."
I'm
And
inclined to
that's
trust the people whose job is federal lobbying a hell of a lot more than I trust random pundits on the internet too. Like, this is literally what you do. And as long as I've known you, you've never talked out of station to. You're never like, yeah, this is definitely going to happen. This is not going to happen. Like, you're very realistic.
yeah, this is we're I'm very surprised. This is like, in my life before these 8 months of research, I always thought it's like, yeah, it's going to be tricky. We're going to have to figure out how to take the NFA down in a novel way. And honestly didn't think it was going to be happen this quickly in my career. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to be something where we had to have an overwhelming majority in the Senate and in the House and have the presidency. But to be able to do it now is super exciting. We've been putting all of our blood, sweat, and tears into this and figuring out how to make it work. I think I think I was texting Nathan about it. I was up for almost 24 hours straight watching
You did, yeah. I
some
remember
of the
that.
votes.
You were dead.
Yeah, that was a fun time. But this is and I want to point out that this administration, especially now, the second time around, there's some very good people in good spots. Everyone's been super helpful. There hasn't been a lot of pushback that you would have normally expected.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot about it other than the odd, like, oh, silencers are becoming illegal. Imagine all the school shootings that no one can hear anymore. Like, there's a little bit of that on dipshit, dumb fuck places like Twitter, but no one cares about Twitter. I hate Twitter.
A lot of Nathan. A lot of people do care about Twitter.
No one
It's a,
cares about Twitter. No
it's an
one, not a
awful
single.
place,
I
but
don't believe you.
okay.
That implies that they're people. That implies that they are people.
Yeah, but you should check out GOA's Twitter for the fastest updates.
There you go. There you go. Nice plug.
It's the fastest way for us
Yes.
to get stuff out. It's just
I
like,
know
hey,
that's totally
like
fair.
280 characters. Boop, boop, boop.
I do actively check your guys' Instagram because that is the only social media I use these days, except for Reddit, which I hate Reddit, but you can buy gun stuff really cheap
I was
on
gonna
there.
say,
Sometimes.
but gaffs.
Yeah,
It's so
Gaps
good.
is pretty cool. That and like esoteric 3D printing knowledge, but that's about it. You know, you
Yeah,
can
I had
just
to
3D
stop it.
print Ruger Mark IVs or like Ruger Mark whatever's. That's badass. They cost like $100 to make. People listening to this absolutely shouldn't do that for their own nefarious purposes. Sorry, continue.
Uh, well, actually, you can, as so long as wait. This is not legal advice. Hold on. We're working on that as well. Because in the past, you could manufacture your own handgun or firearm, so long as you didn't intend to sell it and it was only for your
Yes.
personal use. It's kind of in a murky water right now with there was two previous rules from the other administration, uh, where it's kind of iffy, to be completely
Yeah.
honest. And I wish I had better legal knowledge on this. And we're working on them as well, but it's a little bit tricky on if you can or can't, so long as you don't sell it or bring it into a gun shop to repair or something like that.
Yeah.
So not legal advice. Hold on. um, but we're making huge ground. We're making huge steps in all directions. It's not just Hearing Protection Act and Short Act. It's also zero tolerance. It was the ATF was going around to gun stores and saying if they had a single paperwork mistake, then you'd lose your license.
Yeah,
That's
that
actually
almost
been rolled
fucked
back.
the big box store near us. They had a paperwork mistake on like a Marlin lever action like 3 years ago, and the ATF came in and fucked their whole life. They're still around. I don't know how they managed to fix that one, but
Oh yeah, I mean it was insane. It was like really it was a lot of mom and pop shops where they were saying, "Hey, you misspelled this person's name, or
yeah,
you
there's
put a
exactly
zero
something
instead
like
of an
that.
O," and
Yeah,
it was a war of the wallet where they said, "Well, we're gonna sue. We're gonna if you guys want to take us to court, it's gonna cost $10,000, $20,000, et cetera," to the point
yeah,
where it wasn't worth it for them to not only lose their livelihood but also their savings. So it's
Yeah.
easier for them to restart on something else, which is horrible. It's reducing people's access to firearms and to the local community.
yeah.
Um, but no,
Which
we've been rolling that back. On we've been also working in the states on a lot of different things. Constitutional carry passing. Texas actually deregulated SBRs from their state law. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to be white pilled about. No black pills. Just exciting. It's an exciting time, and get involved so you can tell your kids, in 50 years, like, yeah, I helped do that, and I
yes,
was a part of this movement, and that's
Like
an
that stuff was illegal. Like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, dude. It was pretty fucking dumb back then. Anyway,
yeah,
let's go shoot this full auto 22.
yeah. Let's go shoot this belt fed that I bought on Amazon. Um, God, I want the future that Cyberpunk 2077 promises us. I want the vending machines with like the slot-o-matic, like you can't even reload them; they're disposable. Um, I,
Dude, the new Keltec's already there for that. They just need
straight up,
sealed mags. It just comes out of a vending machine with like a sealed 22 rounds of 22 in it, and then
yeah,
shoot it.
just like
Done.
molded into the frame is like dispose after firing. Like, yes.
Throw
Um,
into nearest river or ocean.
I'll put it next to my car batteries. Uh, I did see something concerning. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's probably a nothing burger because some of these things kind of are. But apparently, someone within the ATF was making a statement about pin and welds are not actually permanent. Like the pin and well rule has been around since 2006, but someone was a particular agent is saying that they're not, and is I think charging someone after that after they removed the pin and welded muzzle device with a breaker bar.
Yes, so
Based.
we are aware of that. Our legal team actually reached out. We did a video on that a few months ago, uh, but it's ridiculous. We're working with some people to see how what we can do and to prevent that from
Yeah,
happening. It's because it's not common sense.
yeah.
It, the funniest thing is it's like this agent has been. I think yeah, her name is I
Eve
think it's
something.
Eve Eisenbeis.
Yeah.
Just a huge like 6 foot, and it's just like muscled out, and it's like apparently put it in the vice, and, like you said, took a breaker bar, broke the barrel
Wait, is he like a
essentially.
roided out dude?
Oh, it's a chick.
Oh, what? I was going to say the name was
Huge.
Eve.
Yeah,
Okay,
Eve.
so like
Yeah,
Abby from The Last of Us 2, the game, not the show.
yeah, absolutely huge. Has been uh is responsible for a lot of different of a lot of internal rulings,
Yeah,
and is something that we are working on to fix
yeah,
essentially, because yeah, it's not if it's common if you pin and weld it,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah, if
it's
you put it in a vise and you take a long enough breaker bar and you put enough muscle into it, you will break something. Like you will, and that is not readily converted. That's about as readily converted as me taking a saw to it.
Yeah.
yeah. If
Oh
I can
no, a
turn my
saw fell on it.
Yeah,
I can take my AR-15 and turn it into like a 10-inch, but it like completely destroys the barrel, and it's like a jagged like, oh, it's more dangerous
yeah,
because
it'll
it's like a
still shoot.
bayonet.
It's smaller.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
now you're
probably.
16 inches in SBR.
Yeah,
Dumb as shit.
exactly. So yeah, no, there's been some bad actors in the ATF as bureaucrats that we're working uh, to highlight and to get rid of. I mean, this was a big thing with the Doge cuts in the very beginning of the year. Is like, hey, who is actually not here to support American citizens? Who's
Yeah,
here not to uh, to fulfill their agency's mission of violent stopping violent crime, going after actual criminals, but instead wants to focus on law-abiding citizens or just even Americans exercising their Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of positive change with some of the political people being appointed at the ATF. Um, One of them is the chief counsel is Robert Leader. He's actually uh, he's a professor at a local law school around here, and he's come out very strongly in his personal just talking about it in articles. Is like, yeah, this isn't our thing. We don't want to be. It's a very different thing than going, David Chipman, who's was at Waco, and these people that don't understand the Second Amendment.
yeah. That
Yeah. They
that
were
guy
like,
was.
well,
I'm not.
actively like activist minded.
Yeah, it's like punishing the random American citizen for something that really doesn't affect anyone, versus like you very rarely see people, and like at least in a national level, at least in a lot of states, I'm sure there's exceptions to this, being charged with SBR laws these days. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just from my viewing. Um, you very rarely see it unless it's tacked onto a bunch of other charges.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the biggest thing is that NFA laws are not really used against criminals. There's plenty of Glock switches in Chicago, which on one hand is like, hey, if like you should be able to own a machine gun, but at the same
Yeah,
time, if you're seeing all these and you're charging these people with loitering instead of taking them off the street, if you're actually concerned about these illegal machine guns, then why are you letting people get away with it? And then you're going to charge someone for owning a pistol brace who's shooting trash in their backyard.
yeah,
Like yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's like you're not harming anyone by taking a Glock switch into the middle of the forest allegedly and shooting a
yeah,
bunch of trash. You might be harming someone if you're doing a drive-by with one, and that's the difference. Is kind of the intent there. It's like, yeah, I want to shoot fast. I want to shoot into the berm at my local shooting range, and I'm doing
yeah,
it more or less safely. But if my intent is to harm someone, it doesn't matter how fast I could shoot it. It's still my intent to harm them.
Yeah. Just trying to put a bow on the HPA. So a lot of people like we've been all like kind of excited about this just so people have like somewhat of a bearing on where we're at as of the recording of this episode. Like how much more needs to happen to get it done? Like, when will it be? And I guess kind of a follow up to that is like, once we go through the process to get it across the finish line, when is that all like reality? When does that become law? When are people going to be able to enjoy suppressors as they should? And what does that look like, I guess? So, kind of a multi part thing to go through, but
So where we currently stand, the HPA is in the bill. The Short Act is not. The HPA, we're very confident about it being included in the final process and in the product. We're still asking to make a few tweaks here and there, just to some of the language, because we didn't have all that much time on the House side. It was a lot of late night phone calls.
yeah,
um, we've actually put our draft legislation up on our Twitter. You can search it up. It's also on our Instagram, and it shows exactly what we want to do. People might be asking about the reduction in tax. That's a failsafe as well. One of the parts of the bird rule I didn't get into earlier was that there's actually a bureaucrat whose job it is to go through the rules and to the test that I talked about earlier with the bird rule and say, hey, this complies, this doesn't comply. And we're very confident in our language and in the fact that it's a tax, not policy. But there is an off chance that the parliamentarian does make a politically minded decision here and says, actually, no, we're taking it out. So this is
yeah,
us hedging our bets and saying, hey, we 100% know this is tax related. If we would take the tax from $200 down to zero, that's not perfect. It's not what we want. We want
yeah,
everything. But if we're going to do this all and for us to get stifled by a bureaucrat at the very end would suck and not get anything out of it. So we want to do everything we can to ensure we have the best possible piece of legislation going forward. Um, to answer your question on when it's going to happen, right now, the supposed deadline for when they want this to be signed by President Trump is July 4th.
Holy shit! How long would that take for
I'm
it to come into? Sorry.
yeah, I'll talk about how long it would go into effect, but I'm a little skeptical of the July 4th deadline, to be completely honest.
you
And
think
it's
that's
not
like
necessarily.
too quick?
The House took the House of Representatives took a lot of time. They blew past two deadlines that they had set for themselves. I don't, and this is a big bill. The Senate's not gonna just take whatever the House is gonna do. They're gonna have their own meetings. They're gonna have their own debates. They're gonna have their own conversations. Uh, and I don't think they can really do it in 4 weeks and do it well. And the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Thune, wants the product and the Senate to have their own individual say in what the bill is. This is kind of this is tangential to Hearing Protection Act, Short Act, uh, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time. But that's nothing to be concerned about. Like, just because it's taking longer doesn't mean that it's dead. And
Yeah,
this is definitely this bill will get passed eventually. Um, so after that, there's a almost like it's a wait period to explain it like that. It's next quarter, so about 60 to 90 days, depending on when it does get passed, before the law goes into effect. And that's another completely normal thing. It's just to help the federal agencies get adjusted. It's to help law enforcement send out the information and to let everyone know that what's going on. And that's a normal thing for all bills, not just gun bills. It just is.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
explain it.
Bureaucracy
It's the
in
norm.
action.
Yeah, it's bureaucracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we're very excited about that. And that delay is not a bad sign either. That's just something that the Congress does. It's not something we really have any say over, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. So
Does that
that's
answer the question? Yeah.
yeah. Like, I think for a lot of people, like, we all consume news. If we're not like in the day to day of it, we consume news via headlines. And so all of this stuff, we see the very most exciting of what's going on, and we have none of the context. So we have just like, and I am often a part of this mess just because I'm doing my own stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
likewise. And I
yeah,
hate it.
yeah, and it's just what it is. So people are like, oh, I think the HPA is gonna pass, and that's like all they know. And then it's like, a month later, 2 months later, everyone's like, so can I go and buy a suppressor yet? Like, without doing all the bullshit? And it's like, so I think a lot of people are kind of in that middle space now where they're like, oh, I think we got to win. Where is the win? So
Yeah.
I think giving people context on like, okay, here's this is a bill and all that kind of like how that all that stuff works. I think is helpful for those of us that would rather be outside cutting firewood than knowing the many evil intricacies of Washington D.C. So I guess the final portion of that question is like, so once this is passed, once it's past that trial period, in this new big beautiful world with so much more debt added, um, what will going and buying a suppressor for the average gun owner look like? And then potentially we can also talk about what would SBR laws look like if short gets added to this too.
Yeah. So it would still be under the Gun Control Act, meaning that you would still have to uh, do a background check, quick 4473, but it's the exact same as buying a regular gun at a gun store. Unfortunately, we can't really touch the GCA because that one has been upheld as, that's not a tax. They haven't said that one's a tax. They said that one's okay as gun control. So we can't include that in this policy, or sorry, in this
It's a fight
bill
for another
because
day.
yeah, it is another fight. But we're at the point where getting it out of the NFA, getting it into even more people's hands, because there's millions of them,
Yep.
suppressors already in people's hands. Once we take it out of the NFA and declassify it as what they like to say is dangerous and unusual, it's getting to the point where it's like, hey, this law is kind of redundant. Like, why do we have this? Like, let's just get rid of it. And you can change a lot more people's minds and get them like, these aren't scary. Like, this is just a metal tube with some baffles in it.
Yep.
The Europeans love it, and
We do.
doctors say it's
We
great
do.
for you. And we've actually, I think I talked about this last time. Is yeah, Hearing Protection Act suppressors from even congressmen and more moderate people from states like New York, New Jersey, places where they're not even big hunters are like, oh yeah, suppressors, yeah, I'm good on that. I was like, oh, red flag laws, I don't know, maybe I want that, but they're like suppressors, yeah, everyone should be able to own one. So it's
Yeah,
one of
it's like
those.
look at Europe, look at like most Western countries, except for Canada. Canada is very, very anti-suppressor. There's no avenues, but that's Canada. They suck, and there's no real point to that country even existing.
1 minute of Canada hate mandated on every episode of the Art and War podcast. I am completely in support. Minute of hate for Canada.
We're raking the leaf.
And my 1 minute of Canada hate. I'll be very fast. 60 seconds. 60 seconds starting now. I volunteer at a local gun club. I probably brought this up already, but I'm going to say it again anyways. Local Asian girl posted in the gun club Discord, being like, "Hey, I'm moving to the area from Toronto, Canada. I need
Poor
to,
thing.
yeah, I want to get into shooting because I really like it. So and so. So I volunteer. People are like, hey, you're the Canadian. Fucking take this lady out. I took her and her boyfriend, shot some guns, so and so, and we sat down to eat some food, and it took all of like 10 seconds to get into. Yeah, it's basically New Delhi. About 40 population in my town is Indian now, and they always mess up your coffee orders. Like these two completely moderate people, like apolitical, other than like they have a passing interest in guns. They don't want to talk about politics at all. But suddenly the Indian stuff comes up, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, we're talking about this now." Okay, I'm done. It's exactly 50 seconds.
I thought you were gonna say it's because she was Asian. I was like, oh, I mean, I guess.
Natural enemies.
They
Natural
were,
enemies.
yeah, no, I think they were of Chinese origin, which would make sense. They have a biological hatred towards
It
the
doesn't matter what part of the planet they're on. They're just like,
yeah.
you, me.
Yeah, the I think my favorite thing, and I've definitely brought this up, is the border skirmishes China has with India, and like the Chinese will just like Home Alone them. They'll bait them. They'll like run over the border and yell Pakistan #1 or something. All the Indians will chase them back like up a mountain or something, and the Chinese will just push the Indians off, and then that's the entire skirmish. Like it is
Incredible.
wild. It is like
Modern warfare intro music.
genuinely it is Looney Tunes level escapades. Except you'll read a headline about it, and it'll be like border skirmish on the border of India and China. They're not allowed to have guns, by the way, because they kept shooting each other. Just
Base-
like one Chinese soldier injured, 36 Indians dead. It's like, oh, they just pushed them off a cliff. All right. Okay, that's my 1 minute of India hate. I'm allowed that too.
Okay, beautiful. So
It's up to you if we cut this out because this is a little off.
I am
Off
a
kilter.
I am a tactful and tasteful editor. We will do our best.
Yes.
Pakistan #1. Anyway, so
What I respond to scammers with that now, and they do not like it. They do
it's
not like it
beautiful.
at
I've been using it too. That was a great call.
dude.
Um,
You gotta. Okay, just a second. Just a second from gun rights. You gotta give us a story of what. Have any of them responded to you saying Pakistan #1?
no,
Okay,
no,
good. Well, it still counts as a win if they immediately block you.
100% because
Yeah.
it's mutual then. So Sure Act, yeah. For the time being, NFA, the suppressors will be off the NFA. They're treated as a fire. That's like the funny thing to me is like they will then be treated like a firearm. I'm like, man, this is a
Yeah.
muffler. But whatever, whatever.
Yeah, and
A win's a win's a win.
you can 3D print this shit for like $3. This tech
Well,
is out there.
the crazy thing is when I first got to the States and I was meeting, a lot of the guys listen to this show and like Arizona shooters and stuff, and people would put in for their suppressor. It's like, oh, dude, like he's getting a suppressor soon. How long you been waiting, bud? Well, we have just ticked over a year. It is now 368 days. You're like, oh, dude. Yep, just
Yeah.
sitting in jail. I've seen it. I've had conjugal visits, but
My
like,
ex, her and her
crazy
brother
times.
waited a year and 4 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was
no,
the standard.
it was really funny when I bought the suppressor as soon as I could when I was turned 21, and this is before they sped up the e-form times. It took me a year and 8 months before I could install mine on mine, and I was like, ah.
Just
And then my
sickening,
boss
dude.
bought one. It took him 3 weeks. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm gonna wait. I was like, everyone else is getting theirs in 3 days, and I'm like, I waited 20 months for mine. Like,
Dude, like we're gonna be the annoyed boomers in like 20 years time who are like, oh yeah, pretty nice suppressor there you got there, son. It'll be like some crazy advanced tech compared to our like 30-year outdated shit that we're just like fine with because we're deaf anyway. Like, how long did it take you to? Yeah, I had to wait over a year to get this piece of shit. And God help you if you had a muzzle, if you had a baffle strike.
That's a whole nother one. Yeah, unfortunately, it is still classified as a firearm because of the Gun Control Act of 1968. And to kind of shift it into the Short Act, it'd be the same thing. Well, I mean, it would be a rifle, and
Yeah.
that one doesn't change. So it still means that you have to fill out a 4473, but it's a normal background check. You just get that done, and it's the same as buying a 16-inch AR. It's the same as buying.
And
a
we're
handgun.
done talking about this
Yeah.
silliness.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That makes no difference. Aside from your
Same as
muzzle
my
velocity.
Maverick. I'm just excited to start seeing them pop up at gun shows. That'll be very funny. I mean, they already kind of do in Idaho.
I was gonna say, like, dude, they are already all over gun shows. Like when I'm walking around a gun show, I'm like, everything is a trap.
A lot of the time, dude, there's straight up just like a guy at a gun show that I went to and he's old as sin. Like this guy is, I don't. If he's an agent, he's a very, very convincing one. He's just selling something that is straight up like he's like, yeah, it's like it's more legal than a forced reset trigger. It's like, no, how this works. This is an auto sear. This is just an auto sear. And you're just selling these, and you've been selling these for a long fucking time. And I respect the shit out of this. Gun shows are just like a little snapshot into the American don't give a fuck heartland. Depending where you go, obviously.
Idaho, way more than where I'm at.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Which is strange, because you live in what many would consider a based state.
It is, but they do like their law and order.
F.
Yeah, big F. Cool. So like that's kind of the big news, but we have a ton of questions from our listeners, both from Instagram and from the Discord. If you're not in the Discord,
Yes,
we have many fantastic people. Some of them guests, like Ben here in the Discord, who are way more active than I am. I just know of its existence.
Okay.
I do. I pop in every 4 months.
Yeah. No, I actually really like it. That's how weirdly I get most of my news now. I'm not just plugging the Discord. Genuinely, like, I hate social media so much. I'm just like, hey guys, what the fuck is going on? Like, oh, fucking Elon Musk is crashing out. Okay, thanks. I trust you more than I trust the internet.
Just the hive mind that we collect, like like a little intel hive mind. What's going on, guys? I think this. Okay, cool, good
Yeah,
enough for me.
like they're similar enough to me that they're going to have like similar takes. So like, it's a good start.
So, I guess kind of kicking it off. First question is: are there any other big kind of gun rights moves in the works outside of the HBA and the Sure Act right now for GOA?
I mean, I would say we're always working on something. We're always in the background on as many things as we can. We like to be, yeah, we have our fingers in a lot of pies, which
Yeah.
is great sometimes. But it's a lot of it's a lot of caffeine and nicotine consumption in the last year. Maybe I need to go on a vacation and just in the woods, just disconnect from everything. I'd
Yeah.
really love that, but there's always something new. Um, One thing that has been brought up to our attention lately is the talk about an ATF and DEA merger. Um, this is kind of related to the Doge cuts and combining all these agencies into one. This is a on its face bad idea for gun owners. For saving money, they want to say, oh well, they can just help each other on the border and focus there and on those crimes, which fine. But the reality is, there's not going to be someone who doesn't want to focus on guns in the Oval Office for infinity. It's going to be
Yeah.
someone. The next Biden-like president we get, they're not going to want to focus on the border. They're going to want to focus on gun owners. They're going to want to focus on these on pistol braces. They're going to want to focus on SBRs. They're going to want to focus on silencers. So essentially, what that would mean is the ATF gets 3 times the budget. They get 4 times the number of tactical teams, so they're HRT SWAT units basically, and they would get all the intelligence and surveillance capabilities that the DEA has perfected over the last like 50 years of fighting the war on drugs.
Yeah. The
And
the
you
the
think about
really competent
Using the
agencies that
war
have got
drugs.
wins.
yeah, oh, the ones that like they have satellites that can track your car out of a parking lot and just follow you for miles. The hypothetical here is, what if this had happened when Biden was president, and that instead of the ATF kind of being underfunded and not able to go into every single state and fight and find and confiscate these pistol braces, that you had all of these guys, all these agents and tactical teams that have been fighting cartels and arguably been in dangerous situations where the other guys are shooting back. And if that's their mindset going in, and the rules of engagement are they're used to is like, oh well, they're shooting at us, we got to shoot back. Imagine that for the American gun owner, and then 40 million
Yeah,
pistol braces in their owners. That's insane.
Yeah, and
yeah.
they're
We
treating it
discussed earlier
like
about, like,
crack or something. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
the amount of people who have no idea what the fucking SBR law is and just like build one just because like I have literally seen a cop do it and he had no fucking idea. Um,
Many such cases.
yeah, and that is like the common like casual American gun owner. That is really really common, and just seeing them get like no knocked because they posted a picture on their Instagram or something.
Yeah.
That
Every
that would
single
be
one of
wild.
those guys being treated like they are like a high level cocaine dealer.
yeah.
Like that that is what we were so fearful of for years under the Biden administration was, those red flag laws, like a actual assault weapon ban followed through with tactical teams killing Americans for objects that, harm no one. Like that that is something that is really hard to balance out when you're talking about gun rights stuff, because obviously, like, we are at, I would say, the rather extreme end of gun rights. Like, we say extreme because that's what we've been taught. We've been taught it's extreme. Basically, the hardcore end, the true believers, the originalists, whatever you want to call it. Like, if that stuff got merged with a competent agency, um, that is terrifying. And we all want to say abolish the ATF. That would be it would be a great feel good win to see the ATF go by. But then we know how it goes, and we've talked about it before with yourself, Ben. Like, all of that gets wrapped up into one of these more competent agencies, and instead
Yeah,
of
like
like an actual victory. It's just a feel good victory with like a awful new monster being created.
Yeah,
Yeah, we I saw this on Twitter. Someone called it Frankenstein's federal monster,
Yeah,
combining these two together. Yeah, you're right. It would feel good like in name only. The ATF's gone,
yeah.
but
yeah,
Woo!
I would rather have a completely stripped to the bones ATF that, yeah, paperwork sucks, but I'd rather have them filling out like paperwork and checking in on FFLs rather than the DEA doing that, or the DEA going and like saying, "Oh, this is all gun crime, so we have to deal with it the same way we deal with drug crime," uh,
yeah,
and really pushing the narrative that guns and drugs are basically the same and they're both illegal. Uh, instead of having an ATF that, hopefully, I don't want to say we're still very much in favor of abolishing the ATF after we fix all the laws, after we reduce their power and put to the point where, like, yeah, you got to get rid of the ATF because that is just a waste of money of just people sitting there doing nothing. But until that happens, the federal government is still obligated to enforce these gun laws because they're in statute. And it's better to have ATF who could just fill out some paperwork rather than the DEA who's going to knock on your door because you spelled your name wrong in a background check form.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
guns blazing immediately, full Waco 2.0, 3.0, whatever.
yeah. And next thing you know, like our new chant is abolish the FBI, abolish the DEA. Okay, good luck. Like
Yeah,
the amount of opposition is going to be like 50x what we're dealing with right now, where it's like, oh, that shitty little agency that like killed a bunch of innocent people in the 90s and continue to do so today. Like, nah, nah, dude. Like, we need the DEA, we need the FBI. Like, are you crazy?
yeah,
It'd be more politically extreme. Yeah, that's the other thing is that, the common it's gone into the political and even just the political sphere of where it's, yeah, the ATF enforces gun laws. I don't want them to do that. But
yeah,
if it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this one agency enforces gun laws and
Well,
drug
there's
laws,
some nuance here, man.
oh, you guys,
Uh, they
we
do
can't
some
cut the
good
budget.
stuff. Yeah,
They're taking
you
out
cut
tech
the
and
cut,
terrorists.
yeah. The FBI, they deal with kidnapping. So you want to take away their money for kidnappings? Like, no, oh god, yeah. So
you can't have a world where you blindly trust law enforcement and you also are like pro gun rights, pro all of these things. Like you see things like Waco and Ruby Ridge and all of that happen all of the time. Those are huge examples, but there's dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of smaller examples of little infringements all the time. Who's that
yeah,
sailor?
little Wacos. Yeah,
Yeah, he's currently in jail for having an RPG and a machine gun, neither of which were an RPG or a machine gun. Like the ATF, like basically shoved a pistol inside of his demilled RPG and said, "Oh, it works." Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
yeah, and suddenly it's like, "Oh, well, this is the FBI prosecuting this case." Like now they have the resources and the kind of political authority of the full weight of the federal government. Yeah, I don't fucking want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the other issue is like there's not a DEA director. If you combine the two agencies, there'd be one director. And funny enough, even during this administration, the DEA director that they originally nominated was super anti-gun, was wanted red flag laws, wanted mental health screenings, wanted universal background checks, wanted all these bad things. And if he'd been better on drugs, he probably would have been installed. And that's the scary thing is like, okay, yeah, he's only doing drugs right now, but if he had to control both of them, who's going to win? Who's
Yeah.
going to win the like? Oh, we want to enforce drug laws. I'm going to be tough on crime, but that also includes gun rights. And another issue for me, especially, is we'd be going up against big pharma with our lobbying efforts.
Ooh.
The number we found was conservatively, between 1998 and 2020, the gun lobby spent about $8 million over the entire period in lobbying efforts.
It's
Big
really funny
pharma,
when people are just like, "Oh yeah, like the gun lobby is controlling all of the world." Like there's
Buddy, it's
not that
boomers. It's boomers donating their spare change at Cabela's.
yeah, like the gun industry does not make that much money. Most of the my favorite companies that you think of are like huge defense contractors or whatever aren't that many people. A lot of them are like double digit employees.
Yep.
Like if that. Even the monoliths, like the largest military contractors in the world for small arms,
It'll be
are
like
like a
200
drop in the
people at
bucket.
most. Yeah.
Yeah. like if that, and that's people who are dealing with
That's
hardcore
massive.
government contracts like
Yep.
import export, like law enforcement agencies, the military, all of that. Like
Yep.
your average gun company isn't like fucking what's his name? What's his name? The old NRA guy, Wayne Lapierre.
Pierre.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like on his yacht. That's not most gun companies. I can think of a couple of owners of fairly large. Like I don't want to say Sig Sauer, but I mean more like Sons of Liberty, Seekins Precision, all of that, and they're like upper middle class to lower upper class. Like they're not exactly riding around on their fancy yacht or
And
anything. Like
honestly, no hate. That's a good thing. But
yeah,
My
like,
bad.
I
but that's
like
that's the size of the industry.
they want to become
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of
and
easier
compare
ways.
that. You compare that to the number we found for in 2020 for Big Pharma alone was $391 million in lobbying. So that
Ooh,
equals
I'm gonna throw up
40
blood.
times.
Yeah,
Is 40 times the budget we've had in 20 years. They spent it in a single year. That's just insane numbers, and it's like, I mean, money. Our gun owners, our lobbying efforts carry weight because people get involved, and
yeah,
people will call their senators and they'll call their congressmen and they'll make it known, like, hey, I'm upset. Like, I want you to do this, or you should do this. I'll support you. I'll vote for you.
yeah,
Versus all these lobbying efforts is something that we would get completely it, blown out of the water by. It's just it's not possible for us to spend
Yeah.
$400 million.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oof. Nathan, do you have anything from the Discord?
Yes,
Stop.
I have a
Stop
lot of things from
pinging.
the Discord.
All right.
So
We'll stop
we're
pinging
going
back
to
and forth.
yeah, we're going to get one this. You just have to let me know when each one is done. First one, and big thanks to Snuffles Evan for sorting these all into one message for me. I really appreciate that. Um, so real shit. From Verdi, what are the odds? And we kind of touched on this anyways, but I want everything to get its due. What are the odds of the HPA and the Short Act getting added in their entirety?
In entirety, as in, like, I'm gonna
Exactly
assume
what
you
you
mean,
want, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly what we want. For the HPA, we're right there. There are some little technical changes that we would like to make, but aren't necessary to complete removing them from the NFA. They're more of just conforming stuff on our end, and that's a little bit tricky where it could get struck down. Um, but here's also really quick back to the bird rule. The best
Mhm.
part about it is it's almost like a line item veto where a anti-gun senator has to come up and say, "This is a point of order. I want to ask the bureaucrat, the parliamentarian, is this allowed?" And if they say, "Oh, you can't include language that, uh, for example, the state registration requirement, you can't include that because it's not primarily a tax and it's not uh, relevant enough to the overall tax bill to include it," they could strike that, but that wouldn't touch our language saying, "Hey, we're removing silencers from the NFA." So that would still stick in, and so they'd have to go line by line by line if they wanted to do that. And the reality is they're not going to. And our stuff would pass the bird rule. The taking them out of this out of the NFA would stay in the bill because it passes the bird rule. Short, we are facing a very big opportunity right now with the Senate Finance Committee. If you haven't already, check out our Instagram, our Twitter, our YouTube for more information on who to contact. If you're not signed up for alerts, they're free. We try not to spam you. There's a lot going on with gun rights right now, so there's always some action item to do, and that will give you the most information and pretty much exactly what to say and how to be informed when talking to your congressmen, your senators, and their staff. Short is in Senate Finance Committee right now. We're pushing our main bill sponsor is Senator Marshall out of Kansas. Uh, we've actually done an interview with him on it as well. If you want to check that out, and he's been a great ally of ours for a long time. So he's pushing it. We've got a lot of a little behind the scenes. We've been talking with a lot of senators. We haven't heard any complaints. Everyone's excited about this. Uh, this is, suppressors are kind of more of a well accepted by everybody. Short barrel rifles lately have been picking up steam because of the pistol brace ban. Uh, but another thing is as part of getting involved into the bill, there's something you have to do, which is called score it, and see how much it's going to cost to remove suppressors and SBRs from the bill. So suppressors are actually the most expensive because of all the tax revenue they get from the $200 tax stamp.
Mhm.
SBRs aren't, so it's relatively cheap and it's a quick, easy add. It's not going to affect their overall budget numbers. Uh, it's a lot for us. It's what is it again? It is under $300 million over 10 years.
Whew.
Holy
So
shit!
that's here's the thing for
I know,
us.
I know, I know.
I was going to say that
For,
that
for
is
these
less
guys,
than one
it's
payment to
nothing.
Israel.
For the guys that are dealing with billions of dollars, they're like, oh yeah, okay. It's like, yeah, it's like, but if anyone
Acceptable.
tells, yeah,
And
if anyone tells you, oh, this is too much money to be spending on suppressors, we can't include it. Well, you got to tell them, it's like, whoa, 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 this is under $1 billion over 10 years. Why are
yeah,
you complaining about this now? Well, like, you seem to have plenty of money to give state and local tax cuts to rich people in New York and in California and New Jersey, all these other places. They even had an excise tax on to remove excise tax on tanning beds. And it's like, why are we okay with taxing a constitutional right, but but you can get away with all these other things? Like there's all this other tax deficit increasing stuff in your bill. It's like, why do you draw the line here? What's going on?
yeah,
That's basically the biggest thing. Is like, it's
yeah,
not in the grand scheme of things, and then for the whole bill, it doesn't cost that much, and we're pushing forward, and we're really excited about it. This isn't our only opportunity to get it added to the bill. There's other opportunities that will be coming down the line, but just stay involved and talk to your senators and say, hey, I'd really like it if you supported this bill.
yeah.
That's pretty much
I
the
I also wonder too. Not to cut you off. Sorry. What the cost of maintaining the registry is, because I know when we had a gun registry, when they had a gun registry in Canada, it was billions of dollars cumulatively over years and years and years. So I would imagine of that 300 million or whatever it ended up costing, there is still a huge sunk cost in hiring the manpower and maintaining this database of people that probably it doesn't actually make that much money at all. I have no idea if that 300 million was like the gross or the net or whatever, but
Yeah, well,
assuming that it's not factoring the raw cost of keeping everything just alive.
yep.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, that too. The manpower it takes, the man hours it takes.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we can't get a score on that because it's very specific on just how much the tax in, tax out, all of that is.
yeah,
But again, with that, yeah, that's another great point of it's not really that much money when you think about it. Of like all
yeah,
the how much we pay federal agents to write down paperwork and copy it,
yeah.
and make sure people are doing it. It's really not that much, and nothing. There's no price that's too high for constitutional rights. Personally,
Yes,
Hell yeah.
brother.
Um, so next one I've got is someone wanted to hear your take, Ben, on the future of assault weapon bans when it relates to SCOTUS, so the Supreme Court.
so yeah, there was Snopes that was just denied cert, which means it wasn't picked up and reviewed by the court. Um, it's a little unfortunate. However, at the same time, it wasn't completely unheard of. I didn't think it was completely. I mean, it's disappointing to see the Supreme Court not take up this case, um, but that's on Maryland's law, and Maryland's law is a little funky in the sense of there's a lot of loopholes in that law,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of.
I've heard of
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
I live right across the border, so I've got a bunch of friends from Maryland, and there's a heavy barrel requirement, which they don't specify. So if you just mark it H for heavy, you're good. Uh,
I
you,
think this
you,
one is heavy.
there's a ban on purchasing large capacity magazines, so anything over 10 rounds in Maryland, but there's not a ban on the possession of them. So if you drive across the state line into Virginia and you buy a bunch of magazines there and you take them back, you're fine. Not legal advice. I need to throw that in there. You can't blame me if you get arrested. uh, so there's some conversations about whether or not it's a good case. SCOTUS likes to take cases that are model cases and that will apply to a bunch of people. Uh, I will say that we have our own assault weapons case that is going through the courts right now. It's Illinois. It's the Illinois assault weapons case. We're joined by a bunch of other groups as well. And that one's a much better case because that's on its face just banning all the possession of AR-15s, of AKs, of these large capacity magazines. And so we're hoping to see a good result from that. I don't know if you've seen, but there was also the Supreme Court's decision in Smith and Wesson versus Mexico, where they said,
Yes,
"Hey,
I saw that.
yeah, it was this is crazy. It was a unanimous decision. It was in Justice Kagan, who's it's not like Clarence Thomas, who was super pro gun and wrote the bump stock brief. Was like, hey, these guns are all commercially available and they're in common use. They're not dangerous. You can own them as a civilian. Why are you like? We shouldn't be regulating them. That this isn't breaking the law. So that actually is a really good indication for how a majority of the court thinks on assault weapons cases in the future. It's unfortunate
Nice.
that they didn't pick up the Snopes one, but we believe that our Illinois case is very strong, and this is a good indication as well.
Yeah,
So as a
Gotcha.
word jumble, we need to go back and explain anything, feel free to ask.
I love to see it.
No,
Okay,
I think that all makes sense.
I have a question from Evan Snuffles. If the big beautiful bill as a whole falls through, there's still a chance to get HPA and short pass through other means, or is it back to square one?
I would say that the big beautiful bill is not going to fall apart. It's something is going to get passed. This is the flagship bill of the administration. There could be different reductions. Maybe they don't get tax on tips. Maybe they don't cut energy credits or something like that. Stuff related not to guns. But our stuff, something is going to get passed. It would be. It's very, very unlikely that nothing happens. It would have to be. It's like a one in a. It's a 1 in a million chance that nothing happens and that they don't pass this bill. Uh, there are other opportunities for us to get these things passed. There's other opportunities to work with the administration to do agency rules and to do executive rule changes at the ATF to maybe make it easier. But this is our best chance right now.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the funny thing about this big beautiful bill quotation marks. Like we for us as gun owners, like the HPA and potentially the SURE Act is like the big fucking headline of this thing. But in the wider scope of things, it's actually somewhat of a footnote in the bill, correct?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
This is
it's
so why.
like we we are in a small pond and we're all like hyper focused on the gun stuff, but like the wider political landscape, like it's like a whenever you see this bill discussed in articles, it's like maybe a paragraph dedicated to it. It's like, ooh, everyone's gonna have assassin silencers soon, and then like they move on, like, and here's some other shit. Like it's not that is not the big bad of this bill. Like people
Yeah.
kind of don't give a fuck about it, which is
Yeah.
killer. Like masterful.
Yeah, it was
For
great.
each
I
essence, if
still
you will.
follow some kids from my college that are on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And they I just to see what the other side is thinking and to hear and just gather
Yeah.
some intelligence. And one of them put out one of those Instagram scrolls where each individual slides on what's going on in the bill. And I saw our thing is like a single bullet point. It was like, oh, silence would be legal and they'd be taken off. There'd be no $200 tax. I'm like, that's it. That's all they know about it. That's great. Awesome.
Yep.
just
Yep.
just ignore it.
Yeah.
This
Footnote.
doesn't concern you. So it's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a huge victory for gun owners. This is a huge
Yes,
victory
sir.
for the Second Amendment. But yeah, it's kind of one of the small things. This doesn't cost that much. It's not making that much of a ruckus. No one, no one on the Republican conference is coming out and saying, "Oh no, we can't do this. This is awful." Uh, the Democrats are going to say that because they have to be angry about something. It's good PR for them.
Yep.
Um, but we haven't heard any complaints on our side, so it's like, yeah, this is great. Let's keep stay under
Let's
the
just
radar.
quietly slide home and get this big fucking W, like the W of our lifetimes.
Yes.
Um,
God, I
so far.
want it. I want to see the boomers selling their homemade cans. I want it.
Yeah,
I know
some
what I
people
got, son.
think Corey from like Superior Defense was like talking about just how awful the suppressor situation, like the cheap suppressor situation is gonna be. I'm like, I'm here for it. I want to see these like piece of shit suppressors that
Dude,
people start
I
selling.
love that shit. It's just like how I love like Inter Arms 38s. I love like crime guns, like nasty crime guns. I love cheap bullshit homemade suppressors, and I want to see the market flooded with them. I want them to
Hmm.
be everywhere. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, free
All right.
market
Oh,
capitalism.
hell yeah. I'm here for it. Let's see the garbage cans. So next up, I've got someone asking, what traps should people look out for in new bills? At times, it seems like everything is double-edged.
uh, traps, as in downsides, anti-gun things. The
I guess like so new bills. I guess the trap here is like, yeah, dude, we're gonna add a lot of debt.
uh,
Like,
yeah, and look, man, I'm a gun lobbyist. It's like
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
like
The-
yeah, financial responsibility is good, but at the same time, it's like yeah, I kind of want suppressors more than it's like
yeah, like we know government bad, government dumb, government expensive. Like, I don't know. To me, like it's a bad libertarian answer, but like that's the trap. Like
Yeah,
if
if it's
I,
happening anyways, that's my view. Isaac Botkin had the same view, and I kind of agree with it.
yeah, like I think whenever we have a win, we should always be very aware of what else is going on. But I think with every single major win we get, like we need to do our left and right checks, brother. Like
Yeah,
what else is going on? Because usually if we have a big win, there's probably some dumb bullshit happening, and that's that is politics, and that sucks. But
yeah,
I think that's kind of what he's getting at. Like, are there any how normal is this kind of like somewhat bait and switch, or like, hey, there's some really nice cheese on this trap, and we're like, oh, I love cheese, my fucking finger.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't dove into the whole bill on everything that's going on because there's so much going on. It is everyone's chance to get something done in the Trump administration during their
Yep.
time, the same as the Inflation Reduction Act was for the liberals with the Biden administration. The the left and right trap here. If you are a fiscally conservative person, if you are a libertarian, it could be that it would raise. There's a lot of debate on whether or not it would raise the deficit or wouldn't raise the deficit. Smarter people than me are debating this. I might have a minor in economics, but I'm still kind of staring at it, going. There's complaints about the EV credits. There's complaints about Medicare, Medicaid, and it's kind of the reason we've been able to sneak under the radar is because the most controversial things are taxes for state and local reductions, and also Medicaid, and all of that's happening. It's if for gun traps, there's not really any in there that we can. We're the major force pushing for gun stuff here. The the reality is every town and Moms Demand Action, they're not in these meetings. They're not going to be able to put anything in because they chose their side.
yeah.
And their
That and
side
like
chose to be anti-gun.
half of them don't even work there anymore because their fucking Doge credits got cut. Like they're not getting their federal lobbying anymore.
Yeah, and
Uh,
David Hogg talking about it is like, yeah, we chose not to ignore certain issues and because it was better for us, and it's like, oh, the money, and it's
I
like
saw
this
that
is
video. It was
insane.
wild.
Yeah. So for gun laws, I got stuck between laws and
For
rights. It
gun
became an
laws.
abbreviation. Yeah, for gun laws. For gun rights, we've done the left and right check on this. We've made sure that this is the best possible thing we can get. We're asking for the maximum. Um, but for libertarian, more conservative minded people, yeah, the taxes, but they're gonna go up anyways. I don't know. I'm single. I'm a single issue voter. I'll be completely honest. It's like more guns, more better.
More guns, more better.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I think
God.
all I mean, it's a weird thing to quote, but I think we've quoted it before. Mao, political power comes from the barrel of a gun. Like that's where my politics start. As long as I'm like decently equipped, like everything else is secondary to that. In terms of as a European who's lived without that power, like I'd rather have it and then figure everything else out secondary. But
Yeah,
that's
same.
just me.
No,
Um,
I entirely agree with that.
yeah, politics dumb. I don't like it. I just like guns. Leave me alone.
Gun school, politics,
Yes.
cringe.
Politics,
What you guys have me for?
cringe.
We,
Yeah.
we do politics.
Yeah, at this point, yeah,
But-
I can get I keep on saying this, but like politics is going to march on with or without us. I don't know enough about everything to really make an educated statement. I just think that if any of this is happening, I want to be able to buy cans from Billy Joe Bob, who's selling oil filters behind the 7-Eleven without, having to worry about him being a federal informant.
God bless.
Yes.
Goblin.
God bless. God bless.
Uh,
Right.
yeah, does that wrap that up neatly?
Oh yeah. Someone asked, can FPS Russia get his rights back? Which is like, I don't know if you have a good answer for that, but feel free to take a crack. Like,
They got him with an intent to sell. Like I've seen in Nova Scotia, like people get door dashed more weed than he had. Like, not it wasn't like DoorDash, but it was like a weed
delivery
a gray
service.
market weed delivery service.
They have that
So
stuff in the States
him
now.
for being a dealer is wild.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't. Not a lawyer. I think we did have an internal conversation about like, hey, should we try to reach out to him and get the facts of his case and see if he wants to like reapply for his rights. Because I'm not sure where is he out of again, and I can't remember because if it's
it
a
might have
state
been
law,
Georgia FPS Russia location.
I thought it was Texas or Georgia. I think it was
Uh,
Texas.
Livonia, Georgia.
Okay, never mind.
I'm probably
I
fucking
love how
that pronunciation, so
you immediately fact checked me on that. It's like, come on, it's Georgia. Does the FBI not have anything better to do?
no.
yeah, it was a federal crime. Let's see,
Those are the coolest ones.
ATF and GBI, FBI. I think that's supposed to be FBI. Oh no, the Wikipedia is bad. I'd have to double check if it counts as a quote unquote violent felony. But if it's a violent, it's for non-violent offenders. The essentially what had been going on for about 20 years was that Senator Chuck Schumer said, "Hey," in a different budget bill, said, "Hey, you can't. The ATF can't spend any money on revoke or returning citizens' rights if they committed a non-violent felony."
What a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, and it's just something that's always. This is something we fought against for a long time. So what the administration did, and Pam Bondi specifically said, is, hey, like, yes, technically this was supposed to be an ATF thing, but actually it was delegated through my office as the Attorney General. So I'm just taking that delegation back. So the ATF isn't doing it anymore. It's instead the Department of Justice, the overarching organization is doing it now. So that's the background on like how it's possible.
Yeah.
I'd have to look more. I'd have to talk to our legal team about it and see more on whether or not he'd be able to get his rights back. But it's worth a shot. I mean, it's definitely conversations would be had.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer because, like, basically, like, is there a path to it, or is this guy fucked forever and people in a similar situation? Because it was such, like, from what I understand of his case, it was such a trivial amount of THC, whatever substance. I don't know if it was resin or flour or whatever, but like for that to have ruined his life, and you can kind of tell why it happened because the man was like an early precursor of like being a wildly influential, like making firearms accessible to all ages, like in a super entertaining way. It was probably one of the first pieces of gun content, like with I don't know, military rifles, whatever you want to call it, like cool rifles that weren't hunting rifles and stuff that I was exposed to in Europe, like that. I was obsessed every video, and people that I had never introduced to guns were like FPS Russia fans back in the day. in
Yes.
England. So like
Oh, dude,
you
same.
know,
I was a fan of his in
yeah,
Canada before I got into all this shit.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like the guy has like I don't know whatever. I don't know the exact amount, but like a tiny amount that could never, under any logical examination, be construed to be dealing. And then they get him with like basically being an armed dealer and use the same laws used to combat like armed cocaine dealers and treat this guy that way. So hopefully there's a path back to his rights for him and people like him. But um, yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now. I care about this stuff.
I mean, to answer the question in that way, the path is now open.
Yeah,
It's whether or not he meets the checks that I'm not 100% sure on. Before it was
gotcha.
anyone couldn't get any rights back because of the federal prohibition. But now it is possible, but I don't know if he can because of his circumstances. I
Yeah,
haven't looked at it as much,
no, for sure.
unfortunately.
Nathan.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't.
No, no,
I always don't know whether you guys are done the bid or not. That's my bad. From Manoli, if the short act gets passed, will the existing records and registries of SBRs and SBSs get destroyed, or will they remain in some kind of archive?
hmm.
So
That's an interesting one for suppressors too.
our draft legislation also included the destruction of these records, and it's also something that we could work with the administration on as well, because it's like, hey, you don't need these. Like, this is just taking
Yeah, quit
you're
being
paying rent
weird.
for nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like this could get weaponized in the future. Just destroy them, dude. It's like you don't need to spend all this time. Um, so yeah, that's if we get the draft legislation that we're asking for, yes. But even if we don't get that specific language, in case it gets struck down, there's also a path there. I won't say it's 100% because there's still a lot of conversations that need to be had, but it's definitely something on our radar and something we've been talking about.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, no, that is good. Because like I'm of the mind that like most registries stay forever in some form or another. Like the government really doesn't like getting rid of information once they have it. But that's a good answer.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually the only quote unquote like federally sanctioned gun registry,
Yeah,
because it predates the Firearms Owner Protection Act of 1986, where they said no more registries. So
yeah,
that one, it could be quite easy to get rid of if we updated it to fall under a certain law, if it was removed from the NFA. So it's definitely an interesting situation.
yeah.
Gotcha. Um, Buddy Brad, who I will not do a full docs of in this episode, unlike last time. He asks, GOA looking at pushing any statutory protections for 3D printing and home gun making, which we briefly touched on earlier. Well, was that off air or
Statutory
was that on air? I basically any kind of like legal protections. Are you guys working on any kind of? He said statutory protections. I don't know 100% what that means. So presumably just any kind of legal protections, like basically helping to further enshrine 3D printing and home DIY built guns um, into law.
So we're of there's nothing that says that. I want to make sure I say this correctly and I word it properly so it's less confusing.
For sure.
We're very much in the belief that private manufacturing and personal manufacturing of firearms is your constitutional right, and we have the historical text history and tradition to back it up. Where like you're Billy Bob in 1800s, you're not going to Smith and Wesson or something to
Yeah.
get your musket. You're building it on your home. You're smelting it with the local guy, or if you're a blacksmith, you can do it on your own. That being said, there was that Biden administration rule that has it in murky water,
Yeah.
in the sense of
Yeah,
like you have
you
to
brought that up
serialize all
earlier.
the guns now. Sorry, Nathan.
You brought that rule up earlier.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that and again, I don't really know. Everything's really gray. That everything's intent based, and for places where it is legal, you just really have to have. And if it ever came up in court, you'd have to prove you didn't have an intent of making it to sell. But I do remember there was a case not too long ago where a fella had an unserialized firearm and they were charged for it and they won because it was post Bruin and they won on Bruin grounds. I can't remember when that was. It was in the last year or so.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the case, but under Bruin grounds, it should be. It's part of the tax history tradition of America. The 3D printed. The only federal statute I can think of that relates specifically to 3D printed guns would be the Undetectable Firearms Act, which basically says you have to put in 3 ounces of a metallic X-rayable metal. A lot of the 3D printed guides we look at say, "Hey, just tape 3 pennies to the inside of your grip or on the bottom," which is it's ridiculous because the reality is, and we actually did a demonstration of this in DC, is we'd had a 3D printed barrel, or sorry, no, we had a 3D printed tube that happened to fit a 22 LR uh, bullet perfectly, and it's a small bullet. It's less than 3 ounces, and it was hidden inside this tube completely. And we went over with a normal X-ray wand. And it's like, yeah, it easily picks it up. It picks it up under clothes. This is not something that most people. It's not a concern. Like the 3 ounces is fine. Everyone wanted to say it was the end of the world because it was expiring, but we were like, it's like this is irrelevant, guys. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Yeah. Um, and plus, the TSA has those new body scanners where you have to stand in the USPSA start position, with your hands above your head. Uh, that detects everything. It doesn't even matter if it's metallic or not. So that's the only thing I can think of is related to uh, 3D printed guns currently. And then there's the legal side with the ATF rules where it's a little murky right now, and I don't want to accidentally get anyone in trouble, and I don't want to
Yeah,
speak
no, for sure.
out of my subject area.
No worries. So just to kind of like put a bow on that, essentially there's no like campaign to make a new law or anything like that. Basically enshrine 3D guns or DIY guns like further in law. It's like not a major focus of anyone right now.
Yeah, because we kind of believe it's already protected under the Second Amendment. So if you're making another law, then you could argue, oh, it's not they weren't originally protected under the Second Amendment, so we just had to repeal this law and then they're all gone. Um,
Yeah.
it's one
So
of those things where
the
if you specify it, people might think, oh, well, it's not included under the Second Amendment.
yeah. So the murky gun laws from the Biden administration, like, are those so minute they're not worth addressing because of the current landscape, or
Uh, they are they're very much stuck in limbo. The original case that dealt with it is the Vanderstock case, which was on the 3D printed gun kits and the the build and shoot ones, basically. They didn't talk about the private manufactured in the same way as our case
mm,
did. They talked more about you get a jig, you drill a few holes in the frame, and then you put it together. The Supreme Court actually said the Biden administration's rule there was consistent with the Second Amendment, which we wholeheartedly disagree with.
yeah,
But the fully manufactured 3D printing is stuck in limbo because it's already been decided at the Supreme Court level, but not that specific one. So it's kind of a interesting uh, case where it's in this weird gray area, and our lawyers will have to take a look at it and potentially do a whole nother lawsuit to get an answer on it, which would take another year or so to get to the Supreme
yeah.
Court.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I appreciate you allowing me to go down the rabbit hole on that one a little bit, but I just wanted to, confirm as much as we could at present for the people who are in that kind of space.
Yeah, I mean, we all love 3D printing at GOA. Our boss has a
Yeah,
3D printer in his office, but it's so murky and it's in such a weird limbo spot
yeah,
where I wish I could tell you one way or another, but it's unfortunate.
So I have from Neo Eon. Is the Hearing Protection Act only for Form 4 cans, or does it also include Form 1? Also, does the Hearing Protection Act affect the Gun Control Act regulations on suppressors at all?
So it is Form 1 and Form 4, meaning that the making and the transfer tax would be gone. uh, in all the forms and all the tax stamp forms you have to fill out as well. But I think we touched on earlier. We can't touch the GCA regulations because it's not primarily a tax, and so we can't do it in this bill. But it's something we're also looking at in the future.
Man, we're just like pelting you with these.
Quick, easy.
I was like, oh no, I don't have another one yet. Um, oh,
Wait,
this is
I got a
one.
quick one.
Uh, oh,
Tits or
go for it,
ass?
go for it. God damn it!
Tit, I
No,
said I had to use a schizo. 1 in 4 of them have to be schizo. Tits or
that.
ass? Also, what's your favorite suppressor? They're both wrapped up in.
Oh my god, this man's a professional.
Yes, he
I've
is,
heard really
but
good things
he did
about the
agree to
Yankee
do a
Hill. Me
Q&A.
too. And I've also heard really good things about the Huxworks and all of those suppressors. I just have a Dead Air Sandman right now.
Yeah.
Uh, I love it. I mean, it's the one I waited 20 months for, so it keeps working. Um, and the heart, that's what matters.
Yes.
Base, base Ben Sanderson. Thank you for that wholesome
Yes.
answer. Um,
I may
so,
just rapid fire the schizo ones at the end, and we just save them for one, just so we don't interrupt the flow.
So, what I've got is like a fair number of questions that are asking about like state specific bans and what if HBA passes, like what does the situation in Washington look like? What does the
Oh, I
situation
saw
in
that.
in Colorado look like? The various, because I'm not terribly informed on their situations, but presumably there's more like state specific bans on suppressors. So like, okay, cool, suppressors are off the NFA, but if you're presumably, from my mind, if your state has state restrictions on suppressors, you're probably still like they're performing unconstitutional bans, but presumably they're still going to hold up for the time being until they're like challenged on a state level, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the unfortunate thing is we can only deal with the federal law. Each of
Yeah.
these individual states ones, it's the reality. It sucks is that there's only what states ban it. It's New York bans them outright, and I think California bans them outright as well. Um, the reality is this is our best opportunity to stick a knife in the gut of the NFA on the federal level.
Yep.
But each of these individual states, we're never going to get another chance. It's going to take too long for us to fix all 50 states before we can take them down on the federal level. So we can get this now, and then we can. Our state team is already looking at where to file lawsuits, where to rally support, and where to fix these state laws where we can. But anti-gun states like California and New York, they've already passed them. There's probably going to be a few other states that will pass suppressor bans, and it's going to be a fun lawsuit time, especially if we can just say it's like, well, not under the NFA, there's not dangerous and unusual anymore, so you have no right to ban these. Um, that is a conversation that has come up in certain cases. There was one with I can't remember uh, that argued that suppressors are not arms,
Yes,
but
I
the
remember
argument there
that.
is, yeah, they
They're
are arms.
accessories.
Yeah, which is even crazier. Is like, well, okay, it's quick and easy. Like, yeah, um,
Yeah, I see
they
that about
are.
magazines as well.
Yeah, um, magazines. It's not in federal law that they're firearms. So that's you know, obviously it's for us. It's arms because it's part of the system and it's part of what makes you able to use it. But suppressors would still be considered a federal firearm. So it's these are firearms, these are protected. So it's done deal. Like, it's over. um,
Like, we're fine with that for the time being.
yeah, yeah, for right now.
These things are incremental.
Yeah, and that's kind of the if we wait, don't let the issue here is the enemy of uh, or what is it? Perfection is the enemy of good,
Yep.
or of progress. If we, it's unfortunate, and I wish I was had better news to report, but the reality is that we can only deal with the federal level stuff right now. We can't do
Yeah,
a massive, wide political change across the U.S.
yeah. Okay, my
For
next
sure.
one is kind of relevant to what you brought up about Illinois, but I'd be remiss in not asking. From the weatherman, are there any upcoming assault weapon ban cases that could go to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, that's definitely our Illinois assault weapons ban case. I think that's at the circuit level currently. I haven't checked in with our legal team in a second
Yeah, because
on
that
that
will
one
be
specifically.
big if that goes
Yeah,
through.
yeah, and like we said with the Smith and Wesson case, it seems to be the consensus is like these are in common use. They're widely available, commercially available. So you can't sue. Mexico can't sue Smith and Wesson and these other firearms companies for producing them. So if that one makes it to the Supreme Court and it finally gets taken up, I think we're in a very good spot. And I think also because of how bad Illinois' law is, it makes it more enticing for the Supreme Court to take it up and
Yeah,
redress the rights.
Oh my
that's an
god.
excellent answer. BR, your turn.
I know. We're pinging through these. Oh, so I guess following the NFA train, seeing as we're looking damn near indestructible on suppressors, we're looking pretty strong on SBRs. This guy's asking any cases for machine guns on the horizon. Long
Hell yeah.
shot, but one can hope.
So in budget reconciliation, I hate to say it, it's not politically possible.
The sucks, and we can all say that is disgusting.
Boo.
However, somewhat understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we we'd love to do it, um, but the reality is it wouldn't pass, and that really sucks. Is we'd rather get
Yeah.
this included, get what we can. I mean, suppressors, like I said at the beginning, everyone knows about them. Everyone is like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Short barrel rifles, they're starting to get more in the news because of the pistol brace ban, and people are like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have that anymore.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, machine guns are they're still kind of one of those heck scary things for politicians. Um, Lawsuits, I think we're doing one lawsuit actually about the right to own a machine gun. I'd have to check back with the legal team and see if I can get you guys an update on that one. But
That's medicinal
not
machine
in
guns. Come on now.
yeah,
We
not in law.
medicinal machine guns within my lifetime. um, cool, Nathan.
Sorry, my Discord has messed up, so I'm just loading it up on my phone because for whatever reason it's not loading on my laptop. Okay, I have Lord of Breath asks, any plans for some of the recent laws passed in the 2A battle in the frontline states like Colorado, Illinois, and Minnesota? All of them passed big gun controls bills this year, with some of them still being fought.
So our state and local teams are putting boots on the ground in all of those states. I'm not familiar with them as much just because I'm more federal. But I can say our state and local guys are just as hardcore 2A as we are on the federal level, talking to me. So they're doing everything they can. I wish I had more specifics, but unfortunately I don't.
That's okay. I mean, that kind of goes along with the last one. Yeah, that's more state level stuff, and I understand you're a federal lobbyist, so I get it.
I'm sorry, I'm
BR,
so
do
dumb.
you have more?
We're actually doing really good. I think we've cleared through the majority.
Yeah, I've got three more, and then a bunch of schizo ones that I'm going to just rapid fire.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I am still scanning for one that I haven't asked. So if you want to go do your next one.
Of course. How might the gun owners of America reach Gen Alpha? When will they start making Instagram Reels brain rot from Smooth Cat? So, Skibbity Toilet, is that Gen Alpha?
We are Ohio styling it so hard.
Riz.
What does any of this mean? I'm afraid.
So I think I'm pretty fairly in the middle of Gen Z. But I mean, we I don't think we target specifically Gen Alpha, as in like, oh, we need to keep up with all the trends.
Yeah,
Um,
thank God,
but our
honestly.
common factor, our comms
Yeah.
director, our editor, they're all funny people that just want to have fun on the internet, and they understand we're not boomers staring at our keyboards like, ah, yes,
Yeah.
this emoji will definitely get the kids riled up. It's uh, we want to make things topical. I think the YouTube video that I do, it's just about getting the best information possible out there and letting people find it on their own. I'm not gonna, and we do funny skits from time to time, like I'll put on a mustache and pretend to be an ATF agent, but that's not like, oh, we need to get these young kids in. It's like, no,
Yeah,
we're just
the kids
I'm
will
talking
love
about
this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hello, fellow kids.
How do you do? We have a college program actually where we are sending people around to talk at different colleges, to different clubs, and talk about their rights and what they can do to help and what they learn things that they might not be able to otherwise get in a normal college class. Um,
Yeah.
I'm part of the speaker bureau. I haven't been reached out to yet, which I'm a little disappointed in because I feel like I'm the heckin' hippest. But it's definitely one of those things where it's not an intentional like we need to get Gen Alpha, we need to get all these young kids into it. It's just something that will change with the culture of, and we were already seeing it with video games. I think we talked about this in the last two podcasts where gun culture is changing for the positive. It's getting younger. It's not. It's unfortunate. It's not being passed down through father son, mother to daughter, et cetera, et cetera. It's more of the Internet of Things. But that's also more positive for growing it out in different directions and getting it from people who would never learn it from their parents or their
Yep.
grandparents. They're able to find these resources and to talk with like-minded people and learn about their rights. So not specifically targeting Gen Alpha, but being involved and being part of the dialogue on the internet and on YouTube, on Twitter, where we can to give the best possible information.
Yeah.
Hell
That,
yeah.
that Two more questions I have from Maverick. What is the status of national concealed carry weapon reciprocity?
So that one is that is going through the House Judiciary Committee currently. It has not been brought up for a vote yet. Uh, Unfortunately, this big bill has taken over a lot of their attention, and everything else is kind of being sidelined for a bit.
Yeah.
They've got to focus on putting in these tax cuts, et cetera, uh, before it pushes all the way. Before we get back to the normal political process, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No,
Yep.
that makes sense. BR, do you have anything?
Yeah. So the way this is asked is somewhat ineloquent, but I'm going to try and work with it. Someone goes machine guns, which we already covered. Drug question on 4473, and what's his favorite hobby? Which sweet. They want to know more about. People ask Ben Sanderson things, but they don't ask what Ben Sanderson likes. But firstly, the drug question on 4473. I guess to try and reframe that in an actual question. Like, is there any kind of conversations happening on that question? Is there anything um, potentially moving on that? Will we potentially see a change in that in the next 5-10 years? Do you think?
Oh, the next 5-10 years. Um, I thought I already asked me like next day. I'm like, oh, that is so. 4473s are interesting because they're not explicitly mentioned in statute. They are a creation of the ATF. That's
Yeah.
why they can change them around so much and include questions
Mm.
like the drug question, or include questions like, do you live in a state or the county or the city, which don't really make any sense. So you still have to put them down. Um, the movement on that would be, I mean, it would probably. I hate to say it, but the question probably remain. But the bigger question, I think, what they're trying to get at is maybe marijuana rights and guns.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Crack rights and guns. Like, sorry,
Yeah,
not really.
we do have a big contingent of the podcast who are very concerned about crack rights in relation to their Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
crack guns. One or the other. So there's actually been a bill that's been kicking around in the last few Congresses called the Graham Act. It's based on saying that if it's legal in your state to smoke marijuana, then it is no longer a federal crime to possess a firearm. Uh,
Extremely based.
yeah, and a very similar thing could happen with federal deregulation of marijuana itself, taking it off of Schedule 1. I mean, we would. It's weird. That was another one of the weird tangents I went down as being a gun lobbyist. It's not all gun laws. Sometimes it's like I got to learn about banking, or I got to learn about marijuana and
Yeah.
the federal drug DEA drug scheduling and all that. Um, so one of our pushes would be if marijuana is getting deregulated, we need to ensure that at the same time the federal laws change to allow gun ownership, because having people choose between, in many cases, medical marijuana, something that they need for their physical health, versus their constitutional rights, that's not a fair question. It's not great. That's not a good thing to ask. You shouldn't ask them to choose between being able to vote and being able to like recover mentally or physically. So that is one of the things that we would also look into. Currently, I don't think it's been reintroduced. Let me double check actually. Uh, but it has been in the past, so it's not a thing that's gone. It's definitely in the. It's not. We're not going crazy and having to think of something brand new to come up with. It's something that has been in Congress. It's been in. It was in 2021 and then 2023 and 2024. So it's definitely around. That makes sense.
Yeah,
No issue
yeah,
there.
it's like an active conversation that's happening, and something that people are actively concerned about. So if, say, the big bill deregulating marijuana federally came along, you guys would actively be looking for that to be like, oh, we need to talk about what that actually means for gun owners' rights in relation to this, right?
Yeah, yeah. The this actually came up last year with they wanted to deregulate the banks and let them be able to take marijuana or cannabis companies' money and use it to be
Yeah,
used in federal, FDIC stuff. So banks. Um, we definitely made our concerns heard of like, hey, like it's great you guys want to deregulate it to that extent, but what about gun rights? Like you guys can't forget about us. Like why should bankers be able to deal with all this money but not give it to individuals and their rights? So basically that,
yeah,
yeah. Run to the bathroom. I've been drinking too
No
much
yeah. No
wine.
worries.
worries.
We were recording. Oh, my bad.
Oh, no, I paused. So, yeah, just to hit the part two of that, what is Mr. Ben Sanderson's favorite hobby?
I mean, Ace VR has been a bunch of fun. I haven't been able to
Fuck
get
yeah.
on with Ethan.
Hell yeah.
I've gotten addicted to it. Uh, uh, just out of guns, obviously weightlifting. Shout out to, what do we call him his full name, or Clean Muscle LLC?
Yeah, Noah. We
Oh
can
yeah,
call him Noah. He doesn't give a
yeah. Shout
shit.
out to Noah. That pre-workout
Yeah.
stuff was great. I
Did,
actually
did
have
he
to
send you
re-up.
some? That shit fucking slaps.
No, I paid full price.
Hell yeah.
Did he send you some? In a way, yes. I put
You-
my credit card details in and it showed up.
Yeah.
Ugh, it was delicious. And the first time
Well, either
he
way,
posted
it's
it.
good shit. I've been
Oh yeah.
drinking it and not working out as much as I should have been. So it just kind of makes me schizophrenic.
Yeah, I double scooped it my first time, and I was like,
Dude,
"Wow, this
no,
feels good." Yeah,
dude, I single scooped it and immediately like basically had a meltdown.
Yeah,
You're just built.
I love
Yep.
Nathan's feedback where he's like, yeah, this makes me feel violent.
Yeah.
Tingly and violent.
Yes. Makes me want to do a crime.
um, Funnily, so kind of on that topic as well, if you mind answering, someone asks, how much does homie bench? The real question.
well, if you're a member of the Art and War Discord, you would have seen the latest PR in fitness and health. Uh,
Oh,
oh, that's actually a
what
while ago, but
what an excellent answer.
315 pounds. So
Oh
right now,
shit.
350 pounds?
15. No, just
That's
three
still
plates.
really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to keep going up. I got to talk to some experts and see if it's worth. I really got to cut down. I know it. I want to be skinny. Very slow. I want to improve the cardio right now, but that was a long time goal of mine. 315, and then I'm happy where I am. Uh, but yeah, no, it's been a journey. Going to the gym, I think, is really great. It lets me turn my brain off for an hour and a half and just lift heavy rock, make sad head noise go
Yeah.
away.
Hell yeah, dude, you look great. You're an absolute unit. We love to see it. We're like, whenever you come up in conversation, generally it'll be me or Nathan. Like, oh yeah, the absolute unit, Ben Sanderson.
Yes.
I appreciate it. No one knows I'm actually just like 5 feet tall.
Hey, that makes the unit thing all the better. You're just just this fucking powerhouse in like a package you could potentially put in your overhead luggage storage, but
Yeah,
also throw like yeah, throw a congressman across the building if need be.
Just rip
I would
one in
never do
half.
that
Like,
one.
I think
Okay.
that's. Do I have any? Okay, yeah. No. Go back to you. I think we're done with like the non-schizophrenic questions, so we can kind of just go through like
Yeah,
what
we can just
the
power through. Do you want to do one and one, or you want to just like each do all of ours?
if you want to just bang through yours, I'm gonna see if I have any funny ones that don't suck.
Okay. Okay, so from a brother friend, when did the U.S. military stop surplus of firearms on a large scale to the citizen population, and is there an effort to bring that back?
What? Oh,
So I can
that's
say there
actually a good
is.
question.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question.
Like which guns did they stop with, or are they asking like because it's still ongoing? The civilian marksmanship program. Uh, Funny enough, one of the first things that was done during this administration was to reinstate the 1911 program. Uh, that was
Fucking
started.
boomers in charge.
I, Dude, you get a. I mean, compared to paying like $1,000 for, I know what
No,
I got, son. Um,
no, that's fair. That's fair.
they're. I've met some of the guys down there. Talladega. It is a crazy range. I was down there for a Glock Shooting Sports Foundation match. Shout out to those guys. A bunch of fun. They let me borrow a bunch of their guns and just shoot them, which is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Um, but the there's I know there's M1 Grands. I know that they have a build class for the 1911s there that let you build it on your own for a reasonable price. I've heard. Uh, so that's great. I can tell you that is something we also looked into for reconciliation. Is almost as like a pay for, is like a net positive to the budget. Is like, hey, you've got all these old guns lying around, and they're perfectly legal currently as is. Why don't you just sell them to the American people? Like
Yeah.
get it almost my money paid for this. Like why not?
Yeah.
So there are efforts to do that. We've been working with other groups as well to come up with legislation. I think it's last year. It was Senator Lummis out of Wyoming introduced the historical museum pieces, and I think it allowed for that. I'd have to double check on that, so don't take my word on that.
Yeah.
There's so many bills, but yes, that is something that has been talked about and is something we think is possible. Uh, if they're asking if we can surplus a 240 or 249, I don't think that's likely right now. Maybe in 100 years, when they're no longer, they're not 100, but like
When they're
50.
antiques.
Yeah, when they're
Yeah.
CNR rifles or something like that.
Yeah. Poindexter 94. How did you go 3 episodes without posting your RAADS score?
It's a lie. We addressed this at the beginning. I have addressed my. I'm very disappointed in it. It's a shame on my on
On your
myself.
family and your ancestors.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
wish
Aaron Lovelace
I
is
could.
still the reigning king of that at 223 points.
Someone messaged me the other day and said they had like a 252 or something like
Holy
that.
shit.
So we need to investigate the fact that he could
Was
actually
it Elon
type.
Musk?
No, the fact it's a listener. So the fact that this man like was able to put together a sentence, reach out to another human being, and make contact in a coherent way. I don't know. We'll see. We'll Art and War will investigate, and we'll come back to you
A new
if we have
investigative
found.
series.
Yeah, a new investigative series. Who has the highest confirmed, reasonably provable RAD score amongst our listenership, or that we encounter in our interviews? Stay tuned.
Just
Um,
part of Brain Hurdy gang, represent.
yeah. Hey, man. We're out here too. We out here too. Gang, gang. Um, Someone asked, please bring up how poorly the gun community is at taking wins in Congress. I really hope that you see the flip side of that with people like reaching out to GOA and appreciating you guys for the wins that you guys do get. Um, I don't know. Like, what's your take on that? Do you think the gun community sucks at celebrating the wins? We are a very doomer crowd, always focusing on like what we don't have rather than what we get. But we also
Well,
haven't
I
had
mean,
many wins for a long time.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is
Yeah,
a lot of people have had a bad taste in their mouth with lobbying in the past. I won't deny that that has been an issue. Um, and some people only focus on lawsuits because for a long time that was the only way that they thought we could get wins, and it's
yeah,
not entirely false. I mean, with us, when we were fighting in the during the Biden administration, it's like, yeah, you can't really concealed carry reciprocity is not getting passed with a Democrat controlled House and Senate and a president that would veto the bill even if it was. um, but lobbying in congressional bills give us an opportunity that lawsuits don't. Is you can write exactly what you want in the bill, and you can get exactly what you want so long as it passes. With lawsuits, just kind of the same thing as we were talking about earlier with the Snopes case, the assault weapons ban case. It can get denied. It can go all the way up. It can take years to get there, and then some judges. It's how many would be? It would be 5 judges can say, or 6 judges can say, actually, we don't want to hear this one right now, and it's going to get sent back down, and it's pretty much the end of the story. So right now we have an amazing opportunity, and yeah, people have a bad taste in their mouth, and I would say I understand, but we have to be hope pilled right now, and go towards forward, have an actual chance. This is something that we've been working on. We don't want to blow like smoke up people's uh, inflate people's ego for no reason. We have a great chance. We have a great opportunity. It matters. You matter, and
beautiful.
yeah, uh, and yeah, we have some people that are pessimistic, and I don't blame them. Inherently, I'm a little cautious. I'm realistic about what our chances are, but
Yeah,
we believe in this.
Yeah.
We believe it with great opportunity, um, and we've done our research. We know that this has a very good chance to pass because of that. So
oh yeah.
believe in lobbying, please. I'm trying.
That's a t-shirt right there. Believe in lobbying.
Believe in the you that believes in me.
um, okay, here's a trap one for you. What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
I mean, okay, like to be 100% real, I don't eat cereal in the morning anymore. I don't.
Based, good
Pound
man.
of yogurt and some. Oh, this is the hack for fitness people: is a cup of Greek yogurt and a scoop of protein powder. You mix it together. It's like chocolate mousse, but it's 200 calories and 40 grams of protein. Um, but I know the correct answer is nothing Kellogg's.
Based,
Yes.
I will not
absolutely
fall
not.
for the propaganda.
John Harvey Kellogg stole your foreskin, and you should repay him by vetoing his products that are trying to make you. What are they trying to make you? Just a
Okay.
fuck. Fat and gay. Okay. Yeah. Nathan, have you got any more?
Yeah, I got a couple. I can speed run them if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it, man. I am. The rest of these are schizobabble, but like not the funny kind. They're just like people are, I don't know, hitting the booze or something like that. That there's not
That's
enough.
okay. That
Yeah,
tracks.
it's.
From Hot Cocoa, what's your Wendy's 4x4 time?
I need to know what a Wendy's 4x4 is. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
I
it's
have no
like
fucking
the biggie
idea. I've
bag
never heard of
and like
that.
how fast you can eat that, which I would
See,
say I could probably kill it.
that's one of those schizo questions. Like this is an in joke for like 20 people on the internet that, or maybe I'm wrong and like we're just old. I don't know.
I think we might be old because I'm
Wendy's
sure.
a Wendy's 4x4. This is gonna be like some stupid fucking Urban Dictionary shit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Wendy's 4x4.
I nearly bought it.
You nearly bought
Uh,
it.
I nearly bought Wendy's tonight. I'll be honest. I was like, oh man, I gotta get 90 grams
oh
What is it?
well.
how
No, no, I mean, so far the 4 for $4 meal, but all these items are $5 or $6, so that doesn't make sense. I don't know. There's no Urban Dictionary didn't pop up.
Oh, is it if it's
Four.
4 orders of 4x4 or I'm looking at a video right now. Notorious B.O.B. It's just like hoss of a man. He looks like he's destroying 4x4s. Man, I'd
That's
be curious.
crazy.
I might have to test this out and report back to you guys on that.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
All right, stay
Chicken
tuned for
nugget.
part 4.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
2-minute episode of me just like shoving food in my mouth. You don't hear any comment.
Okay. Mandatory squat bill when from Confucius, and will 6 Hour be branded a terrorist organization?
I hope so.
Mandatory squat bill. Hold on, let me double check that. What did he say? The squat?
Uh, mandatory squat bill when, and will 6 Hour be branded a terrorist organization?
I don't know if I can answer the second one because I'm not in foreign affairs. um, man, if he's asking if I think everyone should squat, I think yes.
Yes.
Great exercise.
Everyone
Huge
should
thighs.
have a nice ass. I do not.
Legs are too big to fit into pants now, so I have to get like 4 inches too long. Okay, it sucks if
Hell
you're
yeah.
short. 'Cause you're just slow.
All
Oh.
right. And the SIG thing we will leave alone due to your job. Um, though
Put them on
I
the list. I will not leave it alone. They have
Probably
done
not.
enough harm. They've done enough
Yes.
harm to our brave officers. End this terrorist organization now. Oh,
Okay.
okay. I'm trying to. I still want that cease and desist. Um.
I have three more.
I ooh.
Yeah.
Sig is
I'm trying to. There's some funny ones, but I'm trying to think of ones that will not get you fucked as a federal lobbyist.
yeah.
William says, "Does it stink?"
No, I shower. What?
That's
I'm
it.
going to say like kimchi on
Does
your
kimchi
behalf.
stink? No, if you get the good kimchi, it doesn't.
No, actually, the good kimchi is really good. I got some
Yeah.
homemade kimchi the other day, and holy shit, that shit slaps.
Yeah.
Um, from Eamon Wright, if a pit bull and a Chinese child get adopted at the same time, who eats who first?
I have no comment on that one.
I got two pit bulls that live next door. We can find out pretty quick.
Oh God, Nathan, what the fuck?
And our last
Where-
one from yeah.
No, you know
I
what?
was
I'll
gonna
say it. I'll say it. There's no such thing as bad dogs. There's such thing as bad owners. I'll say that.
Yeah.
My,
My next door neighbors are kind of white trash, so yeah, they're about what you'd expect.
They are absolutely liable to allow their dogs to eat a Chinese child.
Yes.
My college roommate had a pit bull. He adopted him when we were in our junior year, and I stuck with him for junior senior year. And he was the most lovable dog ever, and would never barked, but absolutely massive. And would sit on my chest if I didn't wake up fast enough and just stare at me. And it is like, if you think about like a bodybuilder and you put it on a dog, that was him. He had huge pecs and like everything. My roommate fed him just like straight up steak, so he was like protein out.
Dude,
Damn.
pit bulls like you said, when they're loved, they're great dogs. They are so loving, and like, you know that they have the ability to tear someone's throat out if someone comes into your home and starts messing with you, or you know your lady's out walking the thing, like that thing will get and will kill another person.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. But anyway, that's a whole some people are like crazy about that stuff, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But a mix, I really like a dog that has some pit in it, like, yeah, a little bit of pit in something. It's cool. They're good dogs.
Yeah.
If you're not a piece of shit.
Yes. And the last one from Birdie. What does Ben think of my Chris Chen medallion?
I pop into the Discord sometimes and just chat with people and see what they're up to.
Yes, you're
and that
actually
was
quite active there, and I really appreciate that.
yeah. You keep typing. And it's mostly to ask people about like, hey, am I doing this form right? um, uh, that is a piece of history. I will leave it up to the viewer to decide if it's infamous or famous. He was released actually right next to my college. Uh, it's not doxing. I have it on my private or my public LinkedIn account, down in Williamsburg, Virginia, and that was a big joke. It was like, oh no, guys, Chris Chan is watch out, be on the lookout for.
Lord.
We also had who's the guy that shot Reagan?
Holy shit! Really?
It was Hainsley. He did a concert in Williamsburg while I was there too. There's a lot happening in a sleepy colonial town for some reason.
This country, it is
Yeah.
an amazing place. Well, I am out of schizo. Like the rest of these are just questions about feet, and I don't need to disrespect your time with that.
Yes.
I won't lie. There are a lot of feed questions in here, so just know that there is always a promising second side gig for you should you want to pick it up. So
yeah,
I'll leave that between them and God. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Ben Sanderson, is there anything else you want to touch on before we start to wrap up and get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the culmination of the last few podcasts we've been talking about is, federal lobbying works, talking to your congressman, talking to your senators, that works. It's not going to be super popular. I know in the Discord, I've talked about it, is, elections matter. It does matter who is in representing you. If you getting pro-gun politicians, pro-gun representatives, pro-gun senators in your state gives you a greater voice. It is so much easier to work with senators and congressmen that not only themselves believe in the Second Amendment, but also their constituents believe in it, and that they know they have a strong support behind them when they push forward bills like removing short barrel rifles from the NFA, like getting rid of suppressors, constitutional carry, banning red flag laws. This is something that it doesn't just it's a lot easier for us to educate and to lobby and convince people to do if they know they have the support of their people. And it works the other way of if you have bad politicians in, you have anti-gun politicians in, voting also matters. If you can scare them into voting the right way, that helps a lot too.
Absolutely. Make them fear for their jobs. It's the only language they speak. Well, hell yeah, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on and giving everyone the rundown on this stuff. Like I was kind of touching on earlier, I think a lot of us are we are so in the river of, oh, this thing happened, oh, that was 50 things ago, so I don't care, or I've completely lost track of what's going on with this. So we always appreciate you coming on, giving us the time and telling us what the landscape looks like, and especially when it's good news, because as we've covered in this show, for the longest time, it has just been a endless stream of, hey, we stopped this awful thing from happening, instead of, hey, we actually took back ground. And this is incredible. So props to everyone at GOA and all of the other organizations who've had a part in this, and everyone who's been vocal and made this thing happen, because we're not across the finish line yet. I'm not going to jinx anything, but it's looking pretty damn bulletproof. And yeah, I mean, this is the first of hopefully many takings of ground that we never should have lost in the first place. But hey, we're making America more American slowly, bit by bit, which is cool. It's a good time to be a freedom refugee in the States.
Yeah, yes. I mean, thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure. I love talking to you guys, and being able to hopefully white pill a few people and let them know it's not over. We're still fighting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, we love Mr. Ben Sanderson. So, all right, everyone, thank you guys for listening. Again, thank you to Ben, and yeah, let us know if any more gun rights stuff comes up. I'm sure we'll have you back at some point for more discussions. Yes, absolutely, open door policy. So, yeah, much love, everyone, and until next time.
Okay, bye.